Welcome to Hurry Up Pinball, a show where I teach you how to work on your pinball machine. Today I'll be walking you through part 3 of how to install a pinball hardtop. This will be the final video in the series on installing the hardtop, so grab some tools and let's get going. Once the playfield and shooter lane have been cleared, it's time to check the alignment of the holes in the playfield and the hardtop. Lay the hardtop on the playfield and line up the major mechanisms like pop bumper holes and slingshots and use these as a starting point. It is important to remember that many of the manufacturing tolerances weren't as good back in the 80s as they are today, so some of the holes may be slightly off. I will show you a good way to remedy this later in the video. Again, this is not due to errors with the hardtop, just manufacturing tolerances back 30 years ago. I would recommend wiping down the playfield one more time with naphtha and a rag prior to installing the hardtop. With the playfield free of dust and debris, lay the hardtop on top of the playfield and carefully line it up with the desired position. Again, paying special attention to the bumpers and slings as a starting point. Before you apply the hardtop, make sure to double check all the holes in the hardtop correspond with all the holes in the playfield. You will have to make some small compromises if the small holes do not perfectly line up. Again, it is better to line up the major items and make the slight adjustments right or left as needed. Take your time and figure out the best mounting position. I used the slings, pop bumpers, and switch rollovers in the lanes as my starting point. Once the hardtop is positioned to your liking, check all of the inserts on the playfield to make sure they line up and that no wood is visible on the edges of the inserts. I found one insert that had some bare wood showing when the hardtop was in the ideal location. It was about 1/16 of an inch that was showing. I grabbed a black paint pen and made a small line around the insert on the playfield to hide the bare wood. I noticed when looking at the pop bumpers that the 3 threaded nails which are inserted on the top of the playfield and hold on the coil mounting brackets on the bottom of the playfield were smaller than the nail head, meaning if I installed them before the hardtop was applied, I would not be able to remove them if they became stripped or damaged. I will show you how to adjust for this later in the video. Go ahead and realign the playfield again. I used a piece of painter's tape and secured the hardtop to the playfield. I then added several more strips to keep it from moving. Be sure to continually check the alignment as you go. You do not want the hardtop moving after you have lined it up. The more tape you add, the more likely it is to stay in place. Here you can see me checking the alignment again just to make sure that nothing had moved. This may seem like overkill, but the adhesive on the back of the hardtop is extremely strong. Once you put it down, you will not be able to remove it without ripping wood off the playfield. Just for some extra security, I added 2 small clamps to keep it from moving as well. I would advise against making the clamps super tight, but just enough pressure to keep the hardtop in place. Before you go any further, I highly recommend you get a second set of hands to help you lay down the hardtop. It's very important that you do not drop the hardtop during this process, as the adhesive is very strong and you will not be able to reposition it if it sticks to the playfield. Remove about 1/3 of the backing and use a razor blade to cut it off. Starting from the middle of the hardtop, use your hand working towards you and slowly and gently lay down the middle of the hardtop. Go slow and work your way out to the edges as you go. Once the middle is laid down and smoothed out to the edges, go over the playfield area you just laid down again to make sure that it has a solid contact with the playfield. Now that the hardtop is down and stuck to the playfield, you're 100% committed to the position of it on top of the playfield. Move over to the other end of the playfield and remove the clamps and tape that is holding the hardtop in place. Since the other end is stuck down, you don't have to worry about it moving anymore. Now move over to the other side and remove the remainder of the backing from the hardtop. Slowly lower the hardtop and press the hardtop down in the middle and work your way to the edges until it is completely laid down. As long as you lined up the hardtop properly, you shouldn't have any issue placing the hardtop down over the flipper shaft sleeves. The clear areas of the hardtop do not have adhesive backing, so you will mainly need to focus on the areas that have graphics. The clear areas of the hardtop will be held in place by playfield hardware once mounted. With the hardtop applied, go ahead and remove the protective covering from the top of the hardtop. If necessary, use a clean rag and just wipe down the top of the hardtop. Here you can see how the hardtop looks once it has been applied to the playfield. No more damaged artwork and no more planking. Taking the time to properly sand and clear the inserts will also make them look much better once the hardtop is installed. I did find a few holes that were off in the clear areas, so I used a small drill bit to gently add a new hole to the hardtop. While doing this, don't use a lot of pressure. Once the drill bit bites into the hardtop, it will quickly move through the thin hardtop. Again, this misalignment is not the fault of the hardtop manufacturer, but more related to the manufacturing tolerances from over 30 years ago. I noticed that both of the holes were missing were related to wood rails, which it really wouldn't matter where they're placed as long as they're within a specific area. Here you can see what I was referencing earlier in regards to the pop bumper threaded nail heads that would not fit all the way into the holes. If you were to install these in the playfield before the hardtop, you would not be able to remove them if there was an issue. Since I wanted to be able to remove the threaded nails from the playfield if there was an issue with them, I decided to enlarge the holes. To enlarge the holes, I used a drill bit that was slightly larger than the nail head. Be gentle and don't use a lot of pressure. If you push too hard, you will go through the hardtop and into the playfield wood. Repeat this process for the other pop bumpers as well. This was a simple adjustment I made to the hardtop that will make it really easy for me to replace the nails in the future if there's an issue with them. If you need to, use an X-Acto knife or a razor blade to remove any shavings. Here is how it should look once complete. Normally plastic and hot metal don't mix, but I found myself needing to make adjustments to holes that were just a very tiny bit off, meaning the screw or post would not go straight in. After trying different methods, the easiest way to adjust these holes was a soldering iron. I installed a small iron tip and turned my soldering iron up to 650 degrees Fahrenheit. I then went over the entire playfield and enlarged the holes as necessary. This was a very quick process, and I did not hold it there for an extended period of time. Start out in a hidden area until you get a feel for the duration and pressure needed to enlarge the holes. Use your fingers or an X-Acto knife to remove the melted material. I was able to remove most of it easily using my fingers. Doing this will make sure all the screws and posts will go in straight. Most of the time, these adjustments are weighed on very small holes throughout the playfield. I did not have to make any adjustments for any of the larger holes, as I made sure that everything was lined up properly before I put down the hardtop. This now completes the installation of the hardtop, and it is time to repopulate the playfield. Here is a quick video of the new hardtop with the playfield repopulated. I've been playing Pinball for about 3 weeks with the new hardtop, and I can say I am extremely happy with Outside Edge and their products, so much so that I just ordered another one for another hardtop install. Installing this hardtop has breathed new life into this game. After adding the CPR plastic, everything comes together, and I can honestly say it's one of the best looking machines that I have in my collection. As of the posting of this video, Outside Edge currently has close to 20 pinball hardtops available and are working to add new titles. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part tutorial and you learned something along the way. I hope this video inspires you to go out and try your first hardtop install, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. This is Craig with Hurry Up Pinball, and I wanted to say thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show your support for Hurry Up Pinball and click the subscribe button. We can also be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Hurry Up Pinball.